Hey.
And we are live now.
Hello. Welcome back.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon for you, no, Marcel.
Yeah. Well, yes, 2 minutes past noon. So good afternoon.
Yeah. So, so tonight we have State talking to us from California. A long trip for us from London. The good thing about the live streams, we getting people we want to talk to, and we never bring to the show to the live show in London. So it's good.
Logistically easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. So we're gonna start playing the show reel, and that we introduce our guest tonight. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just share the screen. James, let me know if you guys hear the sound.
Once upon a...
Yep.
Yeah, so good.
Very loud.
Very loud. So let me bring that.
Once upon a time, we were obsessed with finding our style. Everyone said, find your thing and get good at it. Okay, but once we found that thing, then what? Standardize, streamline, and... Nope, we are not gonna listen to them, the dinosaurs and the same old shit crew. No, there is a greater quest afoot, the making cool stuff quest, diving headfirst into the impossible and totally failing, but then not failing. So when they ask, yo, State, what's your style? We'll tell them.
Cool, nice.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, I really love that, man. It's almost a show reel now, but it's just better now. It works better than the show reel. Put a stamp on the guys.
Is that Thiago's seal of approval?
Yeah. Cool. So tonight we have Marcel. Marcel is creative director and founder of State in California. So say hello to everyone, Marcel.
Hi, everyone. Marcel here. This is a pleasure. I've been trying to be part of this for a while. I always wanted to go to London, never been there. So it's a pleasure to be talking to you guys. And I'm a huge fan of Thiago too, Cookie. It's just like awesome to be here.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, for us, it's I think having the live stream was, I think taking the coronavirus in a positive way, I think made us to really move to the live stream. We're planning to go back when we allowed, but we hope we keep the live stream. It's just like open the door to get
definitely
talk, and we never could, So, it was still a free event, so it makes really hard for us to fly people and get accommodation. Especially now we all married and have babies. I remember early days, we used to bring people and they just crash on our sofa now, James.
Yeah, now your daughter doesn't really approve.
No, they don't. They don't bring weirdos anymore. So let's just start with what you guys drink. What are you drinking, James?
I'm just going simple Brewdog Punk IPA today.
Oh my God. You got only one, or you got a whole deck under the table?
I got 3.
Okay.
But they're only small cans. All right. And the first step is admitting I have a problem, okay?
What you drink, Marcel?
I'm going light because I still have the whole day in front of me, so I'm just doing
That's good.
Doing like a Red Bull. It smells like, I was telling people, it's funny because Red Bull smells like mistake. you know, because it smells like when you're like 20 or, you know, in your
It
20s,
does.
and it smells like clubs. Every time I have a Red Bull, I'm like, this smells like a mistake, man. What's this?
It takes me back to university where it was you had like £1 for a shot of vodka with Red Bull, and then the rest is a bit of a blur.
It tastes like bad decisions. I guess
It does.
I just having a small glass of wine today, not like a beer anymore.
Okay,
Try and
nice.
control myself. Cool. So let's start. We've been talking a lot about coronavirus, but it's not that big relevant as used to be. So we're gonna keep short on that subject. But it would be nice just to know your perspective, how is state being affected, you know, on this. What we've been 3 months now into
Yeah, about 3 months.
Yeah.
So how are you guys being affected work-wise? Are you guys got enough work? You know, we've been talking before, but it would be nice just if you can tell us how it's been.
I feel like it's funny because this question it got me thinking about like 3 months ago when I remember watching the news with one of our producers, Ricardo, and then we saw that Italy had the lockdown. And then I told him, I was like, dude, this would never happen in the United States, you know? So no worries, this is fine. And that was Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I was like, hey, maybe we should go to lunch and talk about everyone being remote. And then on Thursday, we had the whole setup already and saying to people, just go home, you know, don't come here anymore. So it happened so fast that we had to get everyone remote. And I think we acted pretty fast in the sense of like getting people out of the studio and going back home, because I was never a big believer of the remote work. I always like to be around people, you know, even though that we work with people all around, you know, the world. I was like, no, I like having people here. We fly people in the States just to meet and to talk about work and all of that. But it was a surprise in the first week. And then it's crazy how we adapted so fast because we had a big job going on at the time. We were doing like a huge project with ESPN, and then all of a sudden, all these like new jobs are starting too. So it was kind of confusing in the beginning. But it's funny because once the whole thing hit, it was like late March, we noticed that we start getting more calls. Because at first, I don't know about you, Thiago, uh, at first when the whole thing happened and it says, okay, now we all have to be home, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, dude, is this the end of my business? Or is this the end of the company? Or what's going on? You don't understand, right?
Or the world.
Yeah, it was like, maybe this is the end. I was like, what am I going to do? Because, you know, is there going to be work? People are working from home. But with us we were lucky enough that people start calling us more because I felt there was like an influx of animation work because everyone didn't know what to do. And even like we work with a lot of networks, and networks needed to promote their shows. And we found the first couple of weeks, we found that it was very interesting that people were just calling us for like, you know, let's jump on a call, meetings. There was a lot of rush. But then I noticed that the decision makers were taking forever to make decisions. Of course, they didn't know what was going on. But I don't think we felt like a shortage of work. Luckily, you know, I feel like the animation industry itself, I can't speak to everyone, but I feel like we all did okay. You know, state actually got busier than the usual. But we were able to adapt to the remote. I'm now a believer of remote work because now I know how to do it, you know? So
yeah, I was going to
changed
say,
my
has it changed
mindset
your
a little
opinion?
bit. Yeah.
Are you guys back in the studio?
I'm back in the studio because it's crazy to, you know, I have kids and being home, it's just, I can't focus that much. You know, I was able to do in the first couple of months, like maybe March, April, and May, I was able to do. And then this month, I was like, maybe I should go back. But the reality is, this is the funny part of this whole thing. We signed a new lease for a new space a week before the whole thing happened. So for about 2 months, we had 2 spaces because we couldn't move out of the old space and we had the new space. So we were like in between, and then at some point I was just like, dude, let's just get out of the other space so we don't pay two rents, you know. Let's move all of our stuff and lock the entire thing. As long as the server is working, we're fine. But now we're putting this new space, like, you know, we're getting the space ready for when people come here to work. But I come here almost like every day to be at my, you know, studio, working, focused, and all that.
Yeah. I felt like a lot of the studios we spoke as well. I felt the same with Cookie and I don't know you, James, but yeah, I think in the beginning we had.
I'm remote anyway.
Yeah, James is always remote.
I was just you know, ahead of the game by 4 years.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It's a lot of work came in the beginning. I think a lot of people want to shift from live action to animation, but they didn't realize, you know, how long it takes animation to be, you know, how long it takes the work. You know, they think, oh, you can shoot in one day, you can edit next day, grade and done, you know. And as soon as they start realize it takes a lot more time, you know, clients hold a little bit. We had a lot requests in the beginning, but they didn't happen. And so the first, I think, month, maybe around March, I think, beginning of April was a little bit like that. And suddenly people just realized, all right, we need to start producing things. And we got really busy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, remote work is always tricky, you know, especially.
It's the trust, I think, that's difficult. Like, if you're, especially, I mean, if it's people you worked with before, it's absolutely fine. But then, you know, if you're looking to take on new people, maybe, you know, it's a large job and you have to scale up more, or, you know, the usual people are booked up or whatever. Like, finding someone new and having that trust to get them to work remotely, I think is quite difficult.
Yeah. It can be tricky because, I don't know, to me, I had a chat with one of our producers that he works with resources only. And we were talking about, like, we would try new people, you know, because we have to now. So let's try them. And we were saying, like, if we try 5 people and we find 2 that are really good, so maybe the 3 that we don't feel very comfortable, it's part of our, like, you know, calculated loss or something like that, you know. So we know that we know out of like 5, maybe 2 or 3 are going to work and 2 or 3 are going to fail. So we kind of like calculate. So we're doing like with people that we don't know. So we book them, you know, for a shorter period of time, but, you know, with some time that I can see that they can fit in, because you don't expect people to score right away. So you need to give them time to really, you know, speed up and warm up to get ready for the work. So
do you have, if it doesn't work out with somebody, even if it's a short period of time, do you have like a contingency plan, like someone who can pick up the slack? Because, you know, even if it's a short period of time, if you're working on a project, it can hold things up or set things back a little bit. So how do you deal with that?
We're trying to calculate that. So for example, we try to get other people on hold already, you know, if that person's not going to work, and then I can see, like, how can I just, you know, transfer someone here and fill that gap. But I'm allowing myself to make that mistake, you know. Mistake. But I'm finding that most of the people that I've been working with, they work really well, you know. It's just respect. So even like with the coronavirus, you have to realize people have, even though that we want everyone to be on at 100%, but man, we're dealing with like families, we're dealing with, like, you know, our own like burnouts and anxiety and all that. So I feel like I was chatting with a friend yesterday. We were talking about that we're all operating at like our 70% of capacity now because of the mental stuff, you know. So you get distracted by news and all of that. So I'm allowing people to be, like, you know, not at a 100 all the time. It's just so we understand that everyone is going through different things.
Yeah, I think working with freelance is, I don't know, took me 5 years running the studio, took me a while to understand, you know, like what James asked, putting a system in place. Because I used to book people like we have a 2-month project. I used to book people and take a month, and you think, let's give a chance. And man, I used to lose so much money in the beginning until I realized I said, you know, I need to be a little bit more realistic and say, you know, let's book for 2 weeks.
I think it's difficult because, and I don't know, I think probably Thiago found out that some people's show reel doesn't necessarily correlate with their skills or ability.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you know, people don't break down the show reel enough. And I'm not saying people should do, but I think there's a lot of false advertising out there. You know, someone might have a project that looks amazing, but there'll be like a complete bit part as opposed to what they're trying to portray themselves as.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what makes it difficult.
I think show reel is hard to. It's difficult to believe show reel.
You know what I found the other day? I wish I had the studio before I became a freelancer, because let's say if I become a freelancer now, I would be a much better freelancer than I was before having stayed. I always consider myself like a good freelancer because I was very responsible. I was the kind of guy who would take on the responsibility, let's say, you know, the leadership. And I would always be like, okay, we're doing the sequence and we have like 4 people here. I'll be the guy handling the conform sometimes, you know, and working on the shots too. So I'll be the you know, running 2 things at the same time. But after you have a studio, I feel the necessity of like some projects you have to perform, because there's so much on the line. And I never had that, you know, I had that, you know, in my mind back in the day, but now it's even more clear when someone books you. Sometimes the companies actually, they need you to perform.
Yeah.
You know, there's no chance sometimes for mistakes.
Especially for small studios.
Yeah, it's like you book someone, it's like, dude, there's no way that you cannot perform, because sometimes the budget is tight, but you want to build the relationships, or kind of like helping clients sometimes. So you need that freelancer or artist to perform. So I wish I had that experience before, you know, and I'll be like, oh my God, I'll be even better, I would say.
So when are you going to go freelance?
Soon. That's my dream.
I think if I would go freelance now, I realize how many studios in the world, because every time I get fucked up by a freelance and someone say, you know, that person, you know, is never gonna work with anyone. I said, no, man, doesn't work like that. That person's gonna work with 100,000 new studios around there, gonna fuck with everyone, and until he retire, no one is gonna, you know, he's gonna close all the doors, but still allow doors open. You know,
you should refer them to your competitors. You know, you should book this guy. He's awesome.
Good idea.
It's a strategy.
We spoke before we ran.
It's like espionage. It's like what's it called? Like sabotage. Industrial espionage, isn't it? Sabotage. Sorry.
Yeah, you just send that. But we spoke about, you know, like I always want to make a blacklist. You know, you're not allowed to use the words here. You know, you're not allowed by law here. You know, to make a blacklist. But we should have a. You know,
I'm sure, you know, if you've got like a group of friends who are business owners anyway, I'm sure everybody talks.
Everybody talks. Yeah. We should create a system.
I like but I think it's so interesting, this whole like performance thing, because there's a way that I found very interesting to see if a person will perform or not. I usually now check their social media and stuff, because the best artists that I work with, they always share their personal work, or they share something that they're studying, or they show a level of interest. You know, if there's a lot of like stuff that it's not related to work, you know, because we do what we do, but there's like a level of passion there, right? So we need to be passionate, because sometimes it sucks. You know, people think that we're just like in the computer drawing and doing stuff, but dude, drawing like something for fun, it's one thing. Drawing something for Apple, it's a completely different game, because they're going to judge your work. They're going to ask you to change. It's you're trying to like hit marketing, you know, objectives and all of that stuff, you know, so there's a lot of pressure. But I think there's a way. I found like the people that I see that their social media speaks really loud in terms of work, you know, like a passion project, or they have like a different handle where they post personal work or studies or tutorials. Like, man, I'm super inspired by Lucho, which is our animation director. That guy, he's always researching animation. It doesn't matter. He's like, you can walk by, he's watching like short movies. He knows his stuff. Of course, like, you know, he probably watches like something else, but even like sometimes he posts stuff on his Instagram and I'm like, dude, this blows my mind. When did you do that? And then he was doing that over the weekend. That you, but he doesn't have to because he's amazing, you know, like, but dude, he keeps studying and researching and then it shows. To me, that's like a way to gauge if that person is going to work or not, you know?
Yes, have that passion there. It's definitely you know, that's key, I think. It's not your regular 9 to 5 job, check in, check out. To have that passion and, you know, you're always incorporating your new ideas into your creative. I mean, that's,
yeah.
I think that's quite essential to be long lasting in what we do.
Yeah. It's not end up being about the money. It's more about, I think a lot
because
of
the
us,
money's not very good.
yeah.
Generally.
But it's generally it's not, but it's, I think a lot of us just get, but in the same way, I think that's why we abuse sometimes, you know, by clients, because they know we're doing what we love, you know, so it tends to be quite hard, you know. Clients always come, oh, I have this amazing job, you know.
They take advantage of it, don't you reckon?
Yeah,
sometimes
they do.
Yeah.
It's quite
But
hard.
also there's to me, there's like a moment that you can maybe like draw that barrier, you know. So sometimes I do projects here, even like for big companies that I'm really into, and I know that I'm doing that for ourselves. So it helps us to, like, you know, keep going. So, you know, it's important to find those projects too. Don't let every client to abuse you, you know, so it's important.
Actually, this kind of leads on to one of our other questions, which kind of like what are your kind of like pet peeves of the industry? You know, like my one is show reels doesn't really represent the person who says they are. I think paid pitching is always a good one as well, or not lack of paid pitching.
So you think like paid pitches is like a evil, or do you?
No. I think free pitching is an evil because you know, like for example, like agencies will just put out a tender to like a lot of companies because it doesn't really affect their bottom line. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I mean that's just an example of something that annoys me about the industry. I
have a love and hate relationship with pitch, you know, with pitches in general. I've done I feel like every time, let's put the pitch payment on the side for a little bit. Let's just talk about the pitch process. I think the pitch helps us on the long run. I've done projects with clients without a pitch where they come in and they give me a budget and say, create something for me. And then I noticed that process, because they already awarded you the project, in their head, they are allowing themselves to do like a more exploratory phase, like a bigger one. So that bites you in the butt, like on the long run, you know. So you're actually trying to like chasing your tail to try to nail the design, but also it's complicated because it's like you spend more money on the long run. So sometimes I go, dude, having to do the pitch, if we win the pitch, it's much better, because if they award, I know where I need to go, you know. So there's a direction, there is something that I can, you know. I hate when clients come in and they're so wishy-washy, you know, and they award you the project and you do design and then they all approve. And then it gets to a point that the big boss sees it and then it all comes back down and say, no, we want to change everything. And I'm like, that's
a good pet peeve. Like wishy-washy clients is a good one, who don't really check with the boss.
Yeah, because they first, it takes forever to approve. But I learned a few things in this process where if that kind of project happens, I don't go crazy on the design in the beginning. So before, I would do a lot of design exploration. Now I go, hey, here's like 2 frames only. What do you think? Because there's a saying in my head that says, if you're gonna fail fast. Don't wait too long to fail. You know,
that's a good idea.
You don't want to wait 4 weeks to fail in the design. You want to fail in like 3 days, because it's faster to change direction and you don't lose a lot of money. So instead of waiting for too long, I speed up. But Now, going back to paid pitches, I don't know how that works in the UK, but in the US, if a client pays you for the pitch, it's their idea. So for example, if they give you like a fee for the pitch, they have the right to use that idea regardless of like having to produce with you.
Is that the same here, Thiago? Because I've always thought it was a negotiation at the start.
The problem here, no one pay you a pitch. You know, most of the companies don't pay you a pitch. It's really, but also I think it's tricky because we had a situation with a TV channel. You really need to be careful with the contracts, because some people put like in small line, they own the ideas, and we had a problem in the past with that. The problem, I think, the benefits in US, you end up, if you are a small studio, you end up getting like a budget. You know, you're getting it, even if it's a small amount, you get paid for the pitch. At least you can keep the studio running. You know, at least pay the cost of the project. The problem is, they own your ideas, so you don't want to put 10 ideas there because they're gonna own all your 10 ideas. Here, the problem is really rare you get paid by pitch, and we try and discuss that between the studios, but it's really difficult. And sometimes if they send NDA, you need to be careful with NDAs. You know, sometimes they say they own the idea. So we had a situation where we really needed to go and have a discussion with the client, but it's quite tricky.
So because NDAs can be weird too, right? So you don't know. Sorry, James, I cut you off, man.
That's right, go for it.
No, I was saying, like, in the beginning when we opened the state, we were so whatever with NDAs. We were just like, sign this freaking NDA, it's fine, you know. And then Thais, as a general manager, came in and she's like, no, we're going to check NDAs. Yeah. Because sometimes you signed NDA, as soon as you sign that, it's already like gone. Yeah. So you lose the control. But honestly, there's a way to find, what I hate about pitches is when companies come to you as a filler. Let's say they know that they're going to work with a certain company, but then they call 3 others just because they have, even if it's like a Fortune 500 company, they have to go through the triple bid process, right?
It's just a waste of time.
So they just want to make you, you know, they make you spend money, but knowing that they're not going to give you the project. That's where it gets so tricky, you know. But there's a way so you can find it. Just make it difficult sometimes. You know, people call you and say, hey, we want you to pitch on this. You need to deliver by this date. Just change the date. You know, make it say, hey, I can't deliver on the 16th. I can deliver for you on the 21st. If you're just a filler, they're going to pull out. They're going to, oh, no worries. Let's do on the next one. And then you just saved yourself like, you know, $5,000 to $10,000, something like that, you know. But I feel like when you change the rules, if they really want you, they make it happen. It's like a relationship, man. You're trying to convince a girl to go out with you and say, hey, let's go out on Friday. She's like, let's go out on Sunday. You're like, sure. I can make that happen, you know, if you really want.
I think Thiago's more like, here's an NDA.
Here's my
Here's my NDA.
Yeah, make sure you read this more. And the other thing as well, we always forget is, I don't know, I think especially a lot of us comes from when we open a studio or even freelance, you know, we have that artist, you know, like mentality when we think, oh, we're so precious about the work, and we forgot that in the end of the day is a business, and we're so scared to ask questions, you know, because this is something we start years ago asking questions, the clients, especially when it comes a pitch, and we say, all right, how many people is pitching? And they start asking, and even sometimes we ask, are we just you know, a filler? And some clients just say, oh, no, you guys want a favorite, or say, oh, we need 3 people, but we already know, you know, that happens. But I think we got that mentality. We always, they're not going to tell us anything. And
a lot of times we just accept it, don't we?
You just accept. And this is like with payment. I was talking about payment with another friend over the weekend. I just was talking about payment, and people, a friend said that he doesn't get much pay the like 50% up front. And I said, man, you need to ask. If you don't ask, and if they want to work with you, they change. We work with a big companies. They came and sent a contract to us, and we said, sorry, we're not going to sign that contract. You need to change that. We get paid 50%. I said, we're a small studio. We can't afford to lend you the money, pay everyone, and then you pay me in the future, and that they fine. They didn't even question. They just sent to the lawyers, and the lawyer changed the contract. But
I always kind of think that, and maybe this is probably my naivety, that a lot of situations are always a conversation. So if you don't agree to somebody taking, like, for example, the IP rights, if you're doing a pitch, then maybe it's a conversation and all that kind of side of things. But I think it probably harps back to what Thiago was saying. Like, as artists, we do kind of just roll over and accept things when we, you shouldn't really ignore the business side. Yeah.
But there's something that I learned too. It's the fear of rejection, So when we become like, and this was the biggest lesson for me, it's to drop the fear of rejection. When I opened the studio, I was so afraid of being rejected by clients, or you want to push back and then clients don't want to work with you. But once you drop that, you're like, dude, these are like my terms. And of course, they all need to be fair. You don't want to be sort of like a dick to your clients or to people out there. But if you drop that fear of rejection, you're like, dude, this is how we run. And it's at the end of the day, it is a business, right? So you're running a company or running a studio and all of that. So drop the fear of rejection, ask questions, tell people, say, hey, if you don't answer that question to me, I can't make your pitch or I can't do your project. I don't know. I think it's a good thing to learn, but it's hard. As an artist, it's hard because we're always afraid. Most of the artists are insecure, right? They design something, they show, and they're like, oh, is he going to like it? Most of the artists, they come to me with portfolio review. When they show to me, I say, if you wanted me to say that this is beautiful, don't show it to me. Show it to your mom. Your mom's going to tell you that it looks beautiful. But if you show it to me, I'm going to put my point of view, that might not be positive or might be positive. I don't know. Are you ready for this? But then most of the people are like, they're afraid of being rejected,
Yeah.
This is why we, like stuff like Instagram and what have you, or Behance is quite good for artist validation, because we can just sit behind the screen and put it out there and go, oh, do people like it? And if they don't, you can just take it down.
It's true.
Yeah, social media is here to feed our egos.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the rejection thing as well come with age as well. No, I think older we get, we just don't give a shit.
The less we care.
Yeah, because I don't know. I see a lot of the guys in the studios sometimes, especially like.
Did they keep rejecting you?
No, they always love a hug, But it's but if people sometimes they really feel, when you ask to change things, sometimes they get really protective. Wow, why you didn't like, and people don't understand. Like in the studio, sometimes we had a fight so many times, and they explain the guys, it's not about you. The client has a different opinion or a different vision. He want to change that. And some fights, we just buy the fight and we say, listen, it's not going to look that good. But there is fights it doesn't worth to fight for, you know. And the client at the end of the day is paying you,
Some people get too precious in that, like, like you're saying, they think you don't like it. But a lot of the times, it's not necessarily that you don't like it. It's just that it might not necessarily be the most appropriate solution to the problem you're trying to solve. And I think it's quite different.
Yeah, I think the biggest design piece for me, that's the biggest example is the stop sign, right? If you ask like designers to create a stop sign, no one would stop. It would be like a lot of like illustration and a hand like this with fire coming out and everything. And then like a good designer went there and said, hey, it's a stop sign, dude. It's a red sign with a stop clear in the middle. Boom, everyone's gonna stop. There you go. So
what about the font? Can't we change the font?
Yeah, can we
just scale it down a little bit?
It would be like a little stop in the middle.
Yeah. Ceres.
But it is always a problem. Let me ask you, just to give you a contest. to people. How big you guys are nowadays? How many people full time you guys are?
I think we're like just like staff about 15 to 16, and then freelancers come in and they turn into like, it goes up to 25 or something like that. It depends on like how many projects. It's bigger than I thought, actually. I want to stay to be. I was remembering the other day. I was, when we started, it was like 4 guys, and it was so fun. We would like have lunches together and just, get a tiny project, and then we would be all happy working on it. It changed a little bit, so State is a little bigger now.
Yeah.
What's the rationale behind the name State?
Dude, this is like a battle. State was like, we had so many different names before the studio, before we got to State. One of my friends, and probably you guys know him. I don't know if we ever talk about this, but you guys know Ariel Costa, of course. Yeah. He was here at Blink My Brain. He was supposed to be with us at State, in the beginning. And I think one of the names that we got, it was Wax, like Brazilian Wax, because it was 2 Brazilian guys and it was so bad. And then we checked with our one of the other partners, Joe, and then his mom is a Google brand consultant. And then we told her, she's like, don't ever name your company Wax. Like, this is so horrible. You guys are out of your mind and everything. So we were thinking about like a brand that it's your state of mind, it's your state, so you can come here and do what you want. It's our playground, and sort of like also like the protection. So the state protects you, like, here. So that's where we start brainstorming around the name. And then we were like, oh, we like States, just like, like a short name, and that should be it. Like, sure. And then we talked to her and she's like, oh, I love that. So we gave her a concept, and then she's like, okay, it's approved. And then we kind of got the Google brand consultant approved, and we're like, approval. We're like, cool, we got it.
You should have made a State logo, which looks just like the Google logo, but, all multicolored in the center. What do you think of our branding?
Let me ask one thing you commented in the beginning, and I would like just to push a little the conversation in that direction. You said you guys normally fly people, to come and talk to you, and this is something we had the call with Gunnar as well, and Gunnar, and they fly people to come and work with them, like at least for a couple of weeks. And you're the second person talk to us on this 11 show. So this is something, I don't know, I see quite happening in US. We don't have that here as much, It's
not really.
Yeah, no one fly you to come to London to work,
I wonder why that is. Is that a cultural thing, or is it just? I can't imagine the cost from flying.
I just think it's cost, no?
But if you're flying people from like Europe to the UK, surely it's pretty similar cost-wise to flying from like Middle America,
but they have
America to West Coast or East Coast. Pardon?
The US has bigger budgets than us,
True.
The price not the fly, is the accommodation, no?
Yeah, do you put them in like really seedy motels?
Yes. No, just kidding. No. So we fly people from all around the States, So for example, I've worked with animators in Michigan that came here to work, or someone who is in Chicago and they come here to work with us. And then you're going to, call me out and say, why don't you just work remote with this person? But I feel like the first time it's better to just get to know the person, in person. So we have a connection. He sees the studio work a little bit here and then go back home. And now I can work with this person, whatever this person is, Like as of right now, I have people working with us in Chile, in Germany, in Brazil, as of today. So it's fine because I know these people. Yeah. Or now with the COVID, we don't have the luxury of doing tests, or even like asking someone to come here for a week for an interview. It's the cost of the calculated loss I was telling you. So probably that's part of it. So you fly someone here just to meet with the people and go out for lunches, and then we talk, and then we see if the person likes, Los Angeles or not. Because I've done that when I came to the States back in 2007. I came to LA, and then I walked around, and then I had a feeling of the city. So you don't want to apply for someone's visa and spend all that money, and then someone comes here and get to live in LA, and then they're like, oh, the city's so big and there's no transportation. I need a car and I hate driving. So dude, LA is not for you. So it's better to just save everyone's time. Come here, visit, see if you like. We're gonna see if we like you, see if you like the city, and then we can talk further. I think it's good money invested.
It's a good idea. It's what Gunnar was saying as well, wasn't it? To get that feeling of what a person's like is quite valuable.
Yeah, because the problem with the States is this. I feel like there's like a 3 months grace period where you are like, oh my God, there is Santa Monica, there's Venice, there is San Diego, there is like the 3rd Street Promenade. I can do this, I can do that. And then after 3 months, it's like, I don't want to go to Disney. I don't want to go to this. I don't want to do that. It's like your routine, So you're like, oh, this is life here. So there's like
the honeymoon period.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, this is cool. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I miss barbecue with my friends in Brazil.
I miss barbecue.
Sundays, But yeah, so it's tricky, but I feel like with this thing about someone coming here just to see how it is, I feel like it's important, so they can have the taste of like what the life is.
Yeah, I really like the idea because I see quite a lot happening in US, not much here. I think also, as you talk about visa, we don't, at least we didn't have that problem before until Brexit.
Yeah, well, that's so annoying.
What's going to happen, but we never had that problem because we could get anyone from Europe. You didn't need to apply for visa, and I don't know, for you being Brazilian, probably the same as me, like if I need to see my family, it's like 11 hours fly. And the guys here, they come to work in London and they fly 1 hour, 2 hours, they back home, in Europe. So it's not that big pressure as well. But I really like the idea. You guys get the people to, spend a week, 2 weeks in the studio. At least you can have that feeling, I've got, I think the same as you. I need to meet people. I'm more like a person to person, B2B, body to body.
But also there's a thing about this. So think about the whole move, right? So if you're moving someone from the Midwest to LA, it's one thing. So this person can take a flight back and restart his life or stay in LA, become a freelancer. It doesn't really matter, right? So of course there is like a responsibility. So if you're hiring someone, I'm not going to hire someone just because I have 1 month that I can afford this person, So I'm hiring this person for the long run. But if you're bringing someone from a different country, there's like a bigger responsibility there, because we know what it takes to. I know, and probably Thiago knows too, dude. When we go out of of our home country, it's a big deal. So you have like multiple parties to say, farewell to all of your friends, your family. So you sell your stuff, so you get rid of your apartment, so you move to a different country. So you don't want to stay here for 3 months and go back, because just that whole logistical kind of process, it's insane. So I think all we're trying to avoid is that, make that mistake of hiring someone and then it's like, oh, it doesn't work, just go back home. No, dude, I can't do that because this person changed his entire life to move here. So you have to respect that. That's when we want to make sure that the marriage over there, it's like, it's gonna happen, and work. But it's good to have that, first impression in person.
Yeah.
Before.
Have you ever had that happen? Someone's obviously moved across countries or whatever, but it hasn't quite worked out, and then 3 months later they go back home. So obviously, from your perspective, from your side of things, that's a massive investment as well. Like going through all the visa process and all that. Like there must be, you're looking for like a minimum of duration. I imagine like 2 to 3 years before to get your kind of return on investment. If they're people, not numbers, but you know what I mean.
He always can sell the body, you know.
That would be that. No, we know it's funny because we never had that problem. You know, we had an artist, which is one of my best friends. He had to go back to Brazil because he wanted to stay close to his family and all that. But never. But it was after like almost 4 years of being here.
That's fair enough then.
We never, and then also I don't see, and this is the mindset that I have. I don't see artists, you know, from abroad just for, you know, just as a way to save money. I'm much more interested in like the attitude, you know, because I don't know how that works in the UK. Here's my perspective on the US, LA and New York industry. There's so much work. There's a lot of work going on. So I feel like sometimes there's a lack of commitment with people here. You know, probably like people wouldn't agree with me. I've met one of the best freelancers here in LA, and I met one of the worst freelancers here in LA too. Because some people, dude, I've been in projects, like super cool projects that I would die to work on. And then I'll give it to this person. I'll be like, hey, can you change that blue in the sky? And then the person will, and I'll be like, make it a little lighter, you know? And then he's like, oh, can you tell me the RGB? I'm like, dude, just play with it, you know, just apply like something, change a little bit.
You've got an artistic eye, use that.
Yeah.
But because it's an industry, people sometimes they don't care. They're just there because they want to make their day rate and get out. You know, there's no commitment. But all these people that they come here to work at a studio, they change their lives. I feel like that gives them a sense of commitment to. They're like, I'm going there for a reason. So I wanted to build my portfolio. I wanted to grow in my career. So they put an extra effort, you know, on the project, on, you know, whatever he's working on. So that's the most attractive thing to me. It's the attitude and commitment, which sometimes is hard to find.
Just thinking in regards to attitude and commitment, is there any disparity between the attitude and commitment from people who are, you know, people who are American or people from outside of America coming in? Is it a case of if you're from like another country working in the States, you're probably more committed because, well, you kind of have to be in a way to prove yourself more?
Yeah, I think so. I think I met all sorts of people, you know, but I feel like because
that was a broad stroke, by the way. I don't mean it like
no. I think because people are here, and I can speak to my, you know, because of me. I moved to the States because I wanted to change my career. I wanted to grow, and I wanted to prove myself, and I wanted to work in one of the best industries in the world. So I'll be like, dude, are you kidding me? So if you go work for example, for a company in the US, probably like, you know, one of the best companies in the world, they're all here, you know, or they are in UK, or they're like, you know, in this big hubs.
Yeah, on the bubble.
For a foreigner, as a foreigner, I want to make sure that I make it happen. I don't want to go there and fail, you know?
Yeah.
Well, like because there's like visas, there's like a lot of, you know, commitment there. I feel like because when you work in an industry, you're not going to get the same commitment from everyone. So for example, that artist I was telling you that I asked him to change the blue sky, he probably doesn't even care. It's like if I don't book him today, tomorrow he's booked somewhere else. He's booked at Elastic or Buck or you name it. People are going to book him because the industry needs people. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of opportunity. So when there's a lot of opportunity, so you don't have to push yourself as much unless you're really focused and you really want it.
Do you find that the same, Thiago, in the UK? Like, do you find like, I mean, obviously I'm British, so maybe not necessarily myself, but
I think UK has a little there is a little difference for the perspective we have Europe as one is part of the same place. I think that's for the reason for me London is really good to work because we get I do have problem, but The reason I love to work in London is because it's the opposite. I think, I'm not going to say everyone. I had a better freelancers, of course, but I believe people is more committed here than, we opened the studio last year in Brazil, and that drives me nuts, like how Brazil, sorry, complain, but it is, the lack of responsibility, to commit to the work, or sometimes as a freelance. I think that's my mentality. I never like to work with remote people in the past. It's just because trust, and it's really hard for me to trust, because I know people are working before in Brazil, they get 3 jobs at the same time and end up not giving 100% on the job. I just had that problem 2 weeks ago. Literally, we were doing a job, and we had a call on Friday, and I said, listen, and a guy worked with us, and I said, listen, you can't fuck up this job, and then we sit with all the animators, and we said, oh, we want to see what you guys did every end of the day and everything. First day, what happened? We didn't get anything. Next day, my producer calling him, is 4 hours difference, and the person he just disappeared, and he said, oh yeah, I did the rush, I'm just gonna show you, and she said, I want to see now, and disappear for 2 hours and a half and send a really shit job, and I know that's ridiculous. 2 hours and a half, and I don't have that problem here. So I think people, I don't know, at least for me, I had a really conversation about that years ago. I had a discussion on the internet with a guy said, English people is really, I don't remember, but that was about 12 years ago. But he was complaining, said the English people was lazy. I said, no, they're not lazy. And they leave 6 o'clock. I said, yeah, but they sit from 9 to 6 and work their ass off, and they deliver you the 8 hours work.
As long as you hit the deadlines, it should.
They hit the deadline and they commit. They really deliver the 8 hours work, And the experience I had, work with people in Brazil, everyone thinks, I left work 2 in the morning, but they work 4 hours a day. They spend 3 hours, 4 hours on the Facebook, 3 hours checking email, 3 hours lunch. And of course you work until 2 in the morning, man. And people here, they work 8 hours straight, hard. Even lunch break, people buy a sandwich and eat on the desk, but 6 o'clock they want to leave. They want to have a life. So that's the main thing for me. In regards, I think people is more committed here than the experience I had with Brazil. I can't say everywhere, but even we work with a lot of Argentinians as well. Even the people in Argentina is more committed than the people I work in Brazil. So for me, the trust is the main problem.
Do you just work with people from steak regions?
Yeah. So we can make sure they export. If they fucked up the job, they send steaks.
But it depends. So sometimes, for example, I've met a lot of amazing freelancers here, Americans, that they are just a beast. They are exactly what you're saying. They come in, focus, and then 6 o'clock they show you a preview, and it's amazing. So they're just really on point. But some people, they have just a different schedule. So I work with a guy remote, and then he won't show up until probably 2 o'clock our time, on the chat. But then I know that 8, 9 o'clock at night, he's gonna show me something freaking cool.
Yeah,
I know that. It's just his body works that way.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough. He's still doing the hours.
He does. He puts in, and then when he delivers, is just something that you're like, dude. I'm the kind of guy. I got to a point of my career that I have such a hard time giving notes to people when they don't get to the 80% or 70% mark. So let's say if I give a task to someone, like an animation, and then the person shows me an animation progress, and then he misses the fundamentals, I can't explain to an animator, you have to work on your curves or easy in or out. I can't. That's a default. You know or you don't know.
So it's too much detail anyway. You shouldn't have to go into that level. It's
so it's dude, you got to get to at least 70%, So this guy that I'm talking about, he gets you to 90%. So there's like minimal notes, even though that he works like in different, hours, or even like sometimes he send me stuff like it's like 1 a.m. in the morning for, that I'm going to check, review the next day. And I'm like, wow, he was working late. But then that he started working at 3, And one day he told me, he's like, dude, it's just my body works this way, but I know what I'm going to get. So it's okay with me.
Is he LA based?
No, he's remote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds very remote.
No, he's actually in South America, but and he has a day rate that it's similar to LA, but I know exactly what I'm saying. He gets me to that 90% mark. So there's not a lot of work. So it actually saved me time, of giving him notes, a lot of notes. I'm like, dude, adjust this and that. Bingo. Then he sends me, done.
Yeah, I think it's sometime I was talking to Guilherme from Lobo. Last time they were here, we went for a drink, and we were talking about what you say is back what you said in the beginning is about performance, and the guys delivering you, and sometimes there is people that charge a full day rate. There is people it's cheaper, but they don't really deliver you.
Buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah, and you buy twice, so it's the false economy in the end of the day, because you get that freelance, I'm gonna save $1,000 on this project, and if you start thinking, and in the end you're not really saving, because that person is costing you double of the money.
Yeah,
I think it's back to performance. No,
I
false economy.
I see design studio as like a soccer team. So think about this. If you put just the superstars on a project, it's not going to work, because there's a battle
everyone,
of and stuff. So you need to have like a few superstars and a few of like the mid-level kind of people, because these like superstars are going to bring these people up.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have like just the superstars, because I've been on projects that it was like just superstars when I was a freelancer. And man, that was like a battle of egos.
Wow.
It was, people come in and say, hey, I have boxing classes at 3 p.m. I got to leave for an hour and come back. And I'm like, we're all working here. God damn it. But then the guy's like, oh, I'll be right back. So I'm the designer on this project. So relax. And I'm like, the project didn't look good at the end. It was just like so much like, ego fight, and it didn't work. So I try to apply that, methodology of like, okay, pair like a superstar to like a mid-level person. It's going to go well.
I do think that like because of Europe and the UK, how it is, I think we're quite lucky and we don't really get many egos. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There's probably one, probably a couple, but I can imagine it's a much more prevalent thing in America.
Well, it can be. I mean, I know a lot of, British. I feel like you guys focus on the project. It doesn't really matter. It's like, hey, at the end, like 6 o'clock, let's go grab a beer. That's more important.
Yeah, it is, man. Friday, 6 o'clock. Yeah, see you guys later. See you on Monday.
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know. I've quite learned here, and appreciate quite a lot in Europe. People, they go to work to live. They don't live to work. So basically, they need to have a good time, and it's really part of, the job and the part of the company. Like that kind of
makes the team stronger.
It makes it stronger. Going to the bar, going to the pub, have a drink on Friday and things like that. And
did you get that in did you get that in LA as well? Do you have like after work drinks kind of thing? I mean, or is it quite different in that regard?
Yeah, well, have you guys been here in LA or no?
I never.
I've been to LA, but like just to visit friends or hang out kind of thing, not necessarily go to companies.
Yeah, well, the problem with LA is that unless the studio has a bar right next to it,
it's very sprawling.
Possible. Yeah, because it's like just to get to a bar, it takes you like half an hour. Or most of the people here drive. So we have a long commute. So for example, I live like 22 miles from here. It's about like 30 kilometers, 32 kilometers. So dude, it's just for me to leave the state and get home, it's like about an hour driving, you know, 45 minutes. So if I have to go have a drink, so I have to drive for like 20,
I
30
need drive as well, no? So it's a bit different.
I'll get home by like 2 a.m. in the morning, you know? It's a hard task to leave and get like a drink. But we try like a few times and say, even like with clients, say, hey, let's schedule lunch. And then we go to a pub, have a drink or something. But I think the drinking, at least from my perspective, it's not as active as like the British kind of like culture, you know? So you guys go out because it's easy to get out of like cookie and go to a pub and have a drink and go.
Every studio is above a pub.
So your studio's on next to a pub anyway. Or your studio probably used to be a pub in the previous 50 years ago, and it's next to another pub anyway, which is also next to a couple of others.
Well, I think New York has that kind of vibe. You know?
New York does.
Yeah, because it's like it's walkable and everyone is just hop on the subway and then it can get home like quicker. So it's not gonna add to your commute.
Man, what you need, and this is like $1 million idea, so nobody's seen it, right? Everybody promise. But you have food trucks. Why don't you have like bar trucks that just drive around?
They do
serve
have
people.
South America. They have, no?
Do they?
I think so. No, it's
a
like
good
more
idea.
festival. Tyler asking us to ask you about bagels, Marcel.
There you go. Tyler loves bagels, man. It's his favorite thing to do at the studio. Hi, Tyler.
we make sure you take you for salt beef bagels in Brick
Salt
Lane.
beef bagels.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to go to? There's two rival bagel shops next door to each other in Brick Lane. One spells bagel one way. Pardon?
I think one had a problem, no, because a member of family killed another member, no.
Okay, well, go to the one that's less likely to kill you.
Yeah. So, can we ask you, what is your favorite project at State, and what your worst nightmare, if you want to say?
It's funny because I have a favorite project, and the project happened because of like so many different reasons, but it's a project that we've done in 2015 for the FIFA Women's World Cup with Fox. That project was actually, to me, it's like the tipping point of the studio, because we were doing a lot of, the State happened because of an accident, you know. We started doing like projects. I started doing projects with NFL Network as like a side job, and then all of a sudden, like 4 or 5 months later, I'm in this place with a lot of computers, and I'm like, okay, this is our studio now. So we didn't know what we were doing until we realized that we were in a room with people and we had to like cut checks to people. And I'm like, oh, this is probably like a studio now, you know, it's happening. So I think from that point, 2014 to 2015, it was a lot of like, you know, trying to get new projects, new clients, but just like small little things. And then the FIFA project was an opportunity. We worked with a designer in the UK called Peter Strain. He's like illustrator. He's phenomenal. And it was so good because it was the first time that we got to do something that had like a sort of like our DNA. You know, it was an opportunity to really explore different techniques. And it was like a long format piece. We went to like from doing like promo packages or like, you know, sports packages of like 3-5 seconds of animation to do like 1.5 minutes. So it was like a different challenge. So that's kind of like my, you know, project from the heart. So every time I watch, I'm like, oh, cool, this was fun. You know, that was like one of my favorites.
And any worst nightmare project you want to share with us? You don't need the name of the project. You can tell the story.
Well, I think it was the first project that we got when Joe, my partner, my former partner, right? Joe is now an EP at Buck, and we're still good friends and everything. But I remember Joe went to New York to do our first sales trip, and then he came back with the project. And then that project was like the first project from his trip. And I was like, dude, I'm so excited about this project. Let's do it. So we jump on a call with the client, and then they wanted to do a project that the design was bad for a reason. They wanted to make the design bad because it was supposed to be bad because it was for their show. And
did you feel offended they hired you guys? You're like, oh, okay, that's what you think of us.
Probably, I don't know why. But I remember putting Ariel on the project too. So it was me, Ariel, and because I wanted to impress the client, right? And man, every time I go on the archive and I see that project, and I'm like, I really hate this so much. Because it was like a project that we just wanted to finish, at a certain point, we were just like done with it. We're like, deliver this. Don't even talk about it, So it's like, I even create like a folder on the archive and I put a different name and I drop that entire folder in there. So I don't have to name anymore, But it was like such a nightmare, man. It was like bad. It went from like being our first project to like a disaster. I really,
Yeah, it should just delete from the service straight away,
Yeah. No, it's been more than 5 years, so probably I'll do that now. I don't have to keep the project anymore, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll probably wrap things up pretty soon. But
yeah,
I was just thinking, like where do you want to take State in, like, say 5 years time? Where do you see you guys? You're like you're gonna move to more long form, or what are your goals and ambitions?
I think my goal is to really try to do not long format. I feel like State does really well from like anywhere from 3 seconds to like 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, so we can do well. I don't want to get into like doing series on all of that. I feel like short format is our thing. So we can do really well up to like 2 minutes, and it looks really good, and then we can keep the pace.
Sounds like Thiago from what I've heard.
But yeah,
I can do 2 minutes 10 times, James.
Okay.
I deliver 10. I deliver.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No. It's where we want to take it. I want to do more of this like short stories and help brands to do that. And also we have like a couple of personal projects that we're in development now to really start telling different stories, but it's all like in this short format kind of like format, helping brands to tell stories. And and also I'm the kind of guy who I like working with networks. I really do. I think it's cool. I like when I'm doing like a promotion for a show, because I get to know about the show. So it's like a different kind of like mindset too. So you read the script or you watch the story and you're like, okay, this is how I can promote the show. So I like that as well. So I want to keep doing that, but also expand more into like the short format kind of like model.
I have to admit, like I've like worked on quite a lot of television rebrands here in the UK, and there is something nice about seeing stuff being played out in front of a lot of people that don't even realize it. There's something kind of weirdly nice about it.
One quick question, you just before we finish as well. You talk about working with broadcasts, and how do you feel that in the future? Because the reason I'm asking is, like in UK, TV channel has been like really kind of condensed on budget. It's really difficult. We work with broadcasts since the beginning, and nowadays we've been pushing more to the US side because the budget's a lot better. But UK is like whatever you deliver like 5 years ago, now it's like the budget is smaller and you deliver it 10 times more.
It's not even freelance rate anymore. It's just broadcast is just nuts. Like, it's so low.
Some here is really low. How do you feel about that? Do you think in a long run that is budget is getting smaller on broadcast? Do you think studios can still live in?
I think for packages like promotion, I think we still have, market for that, for promoting shows.
Yeah.
I really don't believe on the whole network rebrand stuff because, even if you see like even because there's like people like, for example, what's that studio in New York,
Gretel are amazing. We work with them actually. I've worked with them a couple of times through the UK company.
That stuff, and probably they can do that stuff all day long because it involves. I feel like they're not focused on the look only. They sell as like a marketing campaign. So there's like much more.
They sell systems, I reckon. Exactly. I would say
it feels more cohesive if you're going in that direction. So you need to have a different structure. So you need to do like a rebrand for networks, but also have writers and have, creative directors and probably like strategists, to just come up with marketing strategies. So I feel like rebrands got bigger if you want to get into that, that whole area. But I feel like for shows, there is the necessity to promote shows still, otherwise it's just going to become, irrelevant. So even because now, so if you watch TV here in the States, people watch TV, sure. But I've seen a lot of promotion for Netflix, for Hulu, for
huge amount,
a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of shows that needs to be promoted and they need to do marketing. I think we're just shifting to like where the money is going, but I think there's market still.
Yeah, it's all shifting across to like the online platforms like Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime and what have you, as opposed to traditional cable channels. So I think it's always going to be there because those guys have got so much money behind them and they're trying to prove a point against the cable channels. I think there's probably pretty good budgets to promote their new, the next big thing, or whatever they're trying to push through.
I need to do research to see how COVID actually affected the subscriptions. I think
it went up by a lot.
Yeah, probably people went back to to subscriptions because it's insane. Now I can see the necessity of even more promotion being necessary.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I even saw someone made a joke. Saying Netflix normally ask, "Are you still there?" They should tell you, just go have a shower and come back, please. Because people are just like straight there.
Well, it's interesting how mainstream Netflix has become. Like the phrase if you're with your girlfriend, it's like Netflix and chill, isn't it? It's become like so mainstream. There's now a phrase that people use all the time. If you're a younger generation, that is.
You calling yourself a young, all right. They had a really good. They had a really good campaign now with the coronavirus. They made spoil the shows. Now they put like banners like outdoors with spoil. Like
did they?
Yeah, they with some shows. So if you don't really stay at home, you're gonna pass and see like an outdoor saying like, whatever show you. Like the main shows, they tell the guy dies on the end, but was real spoils to force people to stay inside. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it was really good campaign. Yeah. Cool. Should we pick a last question? We just hit 1 hour and 50, 1 hour and 12. So let's pick one last question. You can choose one, James.
There was something I was thinking about earlier, and I can't remember what the hell it is now. And that's good. I'll tell you what, I'll probably remember it right after we finish. Let's have a look here. Yeah, actually, so you talked about your favorite project and your nightmare project, but what's kind of your favorite type of client? And also, it's kind of a double faceted question. Like, also, which company would you really like to work with that you haven't had the chance to work with yet?
That's like putting me on the spot. I like that.
Hey, you said that earlier.
That's okay. That's okay. Man,
we should put like timers down as well. Like, so you got like 10 seconds to answer the question. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to imagine here like a brand that I haven't worked yet, because one of my goals with State was to work with like Apple and Nike and all of that. But we've done projects with those people. And by the way, these companies are super freaking awesome to work with.
I was going to say, did it work out how you imagined it as well?
I had a few brands that I wanted to work with, you know, and that I was so obsessed about. And then when we worked together, I was like, oh, you know, I'm like, oh my God, is this what it tastes like?
Is this like you should never meet your heroes?
But I worked I would say like 90% of our clients are super cool, you know, like we're lucky enough to work with great people.
I usually say music visuals.
Music visuals,
yeah.
But that's like for your heart, because usually there's no money on
no
that.
money in
Yeah,
that. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had that
like my biggest dream would be working for like a big band, like, you know, like maybe
Nickelback
or Backstreet Boys. I really love them.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know, I bet that would be super fun. Like, you know, because you got all
Like
the irony there as well, so you can
Boys?
just push the boat out. Yeah, man.
No, I want to do something for like bands that I grew up listening. So I remember when I saw Ariel worked for Green Day, the first reaction I had, I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I grew up on Green Day, like, you know, and working with those guys, it blew my mind. So to me, it's like doing a project with like a band that I admire. And I keep, you know, do you guys know Roger Lima from
Yeah.
I texted him the other day. I'm like, dude, I really want to do a music video for Sepultura, you know? So because
I love Sepultura. I was about to say Sepultura. Like Rata Manhattan is one of my favorite tracks. Like,
I have a Sepultura tattoo, man. Are you kidding me?
Do you? No way.
Yeah,
man, awesome.
And then he texted me on Sunday. He goes, "Do you still want to work with Sepultura?" I'm like, "Yeah," because he's friends with Derek.
Because they're from Belo, aren't they? Belo Horizonte. Is that right?
Yeah. They're from originally from there, but they moved to Sant André, which is, you know, it's like in the São Paulo County. It's
okay, right.
Yeah, but
one of them lives here, no?
I think Igor lives in.
Yeah, I think Igor. We went for a party.
Anymore.
Yeah.
What in London?
In London, yeah. I went for a set. I have his friend of him, and he DJ here sometime.
I should have thought about it because, like, you know, obviously the Brazilian mafia in London, everybody knows everybody, and I should have thought, oh shit, man, I should have mentioned Sepultura to you. But yeah, man, I used to love those guys. Well, still love those guys. They're awesome.
Yeah, so probably that would be like my dream project. Just work with someone like that and, you know, do a music video or something with them.
That would be cool. Yeah, music video is always nice. Yeah, I start my freelance life working music videos here. Used to be nice.
You were back in dancer though, weren't you?
Yeah,
I did too. You know, when I moved from my hometown to São Paulo to work for a company, I went to do a music video for Charlie Brown Jr.
Yeah.
So we did like one music video, and it was like it won like some awards and stuff. It was like a lot of motion graphics. It was fun.
Wow. I remember that. Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, music videos, I think it's still good. You know, it's we talk about that with Shinola on the other show. You know, they build up their career on music videos. But it's
a lot of people did, man. A lot of people did from that era.
It's hard nowadays to make money, but it's a good thing to do if you quite established studio, you know, you want to take as a personal project. Is a good way to do it. If
you can afford to take it on,
yeah,
I think it's either a good way to get into the industry if you make a good job and can afford to take it on, or if you're more established as well. If you've got the money that it doesn't matter, take it on.
I met a freelancer in LA. He came from London to visit us. He's a single guy and he's like in his 20s, late 20s, you know. And he was telling me the way he lives, and man, I was like so jealous. I wish I had that idea back in the day. Check this out. He gets projects. He's a freelancer, you know. So he gets a project, and then based on that project budget, he chooses where he's gonna live. So for example, he got a video for an artist that only had like, let's say 10K. And he's like, dude, if I move to Mexico for 3 months, I can live in Mexico with $10,000, dollars. I can be there because the rent is cheap. And then he does Airbnb with his apartment in London. So he can afford to be in Mexico for 3 months, working on the music video. And then
That's a great idea.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's the life, that's brilliant. Because now he travels the whole world based on the budgets. I'm wondering if he gets like bigger budgets so he can go to like, Japan or something like that.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Or he's just stay like, South America.
Actually, one of our friends, Marcus, just said on YouTube that the Charlie Brown Jr. music video that you guys did was one of the animations that got him into motion design.
Oh, that's awesome. That was like that was like a huge thing back in the day. It was like insane. Even to me, just to get to work with a band like that. That band was huge in Brazil, They don't exist anymore because of all the members, they commit suicide, right?
Yeah. True.
It's a very fine line between genius and suicidal and depression. It's a very fine line.
Yeah.
On that note.
So we just hit past our 150. So it's a good suicide note is a good one to finish.
Yeah.
Kill it.
Marcel, thank you so much, man. It was really good.
Huge thanks.
Really good, inspiring, and it's nice to get some insights as well, see how you guys work and how.
It's nice you mentioned Sepultura as well. That was a highlight for me.
That's good. Yeah.
We'll talk about Sepultura and Picanha. So James is really excited.
All boxes ticked.
No, but thanks for doing this. We run a small conference here in LA called R&D. We don't do this whole thing live, but we bring people all the time. So probably, when things go back to normal, I would love to invite you guys to come here, talk about your work and, the Evo and all of that. Let's do something together.
Man, sounds real down for collaboration.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks so much, man. It was really good. We're trying to always want to get you to come to London, so let's try hook up.
It's like at school where you have like exchange students.
Yeah, we can do exchange students. Yeah.
Let's wait until they open the borders, and then we go.
Yeah, we already open here. Yeah, apart of Brazilians, I think not going to be allowed to Europe from July.
Oh yeah. Here they cannot have any. There's no. I think it's they banned all the Brazilians like 2 weeks ago.
Thanks, Bolsonaro. Great job.
Yeah, I think happened the same here.
Yeah, if that was the problem.
But thank you.
Brazilians here because it's going to increase the coronavirus cases.
Yeah, it's the same here. But we open for holidays next month here. No?
Yeah,
so you're welcome to come.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, man. It was really good, really inspiring. Keep up with the work. We gonna see you guys next Tuesday. We got Joana Herrera. She's ex-Buck and a special guest with her as well.
That's awesome. Troy is like
tag team back again.
Fireball. You guys are like,
yeah. And after this one, we're gonna start doing every 2 weeks. No, James.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just been.
We can just chill now.
Yeah, we can chill. We can Netflix and chill, me and James.
That's right.
Okay, thanks so much, Marcel. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
We're gonna see you guys next Tuesday.